Hello and welcome to this micro training video from FMCG Academy. Simply pause on the screen if you want to read through the cover slide. So today we're going to talk specifically about brand vision, but I'm hoping you've already seen the earlier video which gives you the differences between brand vision, positioning, personality and identity. And if you haven't, please do have a look at it. We've already done the video on writing a brand mission, so you might want to have a look at that earlier. And we use the example of an orange flavored beverage called Ola to write a simple mission statement. Today we're going to go through brand vision. So we're using the same sort of format. The grid basically shows that the term vision, what questions does it answer? Is it an internal or an external document or a statement? And how frequently do we write a brand vision? The questions that vision answers is what do we want to achieve? And when do we want to do it by. So the thing it's got is it's got a target orientation, and it's also got it's time bound. So there's a certain time by which you need to achieve this. It's not infinity, and the target is not unachievable, hopefully. So it's definitely target and time bound. Brand visions are more commonly written internally. You will find organization visions which are put out externally in the annual reports and other documents, but brand visions, and don't confuse that with the advertising tagline, is typically written internally, and by internally obviously we include all the key agencies the organization works with, like packaging, media, advertising, etc. And typically you should review this 3 to 5 years. I think anything beyond 5 years in currently rapidly changing times is probably um, much too large a time frame. So 3 to 5 years is when you want to basically review this. So with using the same template, so let's have a quick look at what are the mandatories, the need tos. What do we definitely need to have as part of the brand vision? What are the key factors? Uh, Mandatories. So the first two actually are quite similar to vision. So, and I believe in this very strongly. It's got to be simple, which means essentially no jargon. So if it's got to be simple, everyone should be able to understand it across the organization. Then it's got to be short, and by short I mean less or equal to 25 words. Anything longer than that then just becomes a big statement which people, it's not something you can get behind as an organization. It's got to be short and snappy and very clear. It's still got a few other things which you got to make sure are there. Obviously it's got to be achievable, and that's very important, because you don't want to have a target which no one believes is going to be achieved. So it's like a pie in the sky, and people just, it's just disregarded and put aside, and people don't think about it. But if it's achievable and can be done, then a lot of people tend to get behind it. The key thing, of course, again, is it's got to be measurable. Now this is important because obviously if you can't measure it, how will you know whether you've achieved it or not? The key thing in measurable is it's also important, because if you're writing a brand vision over a 3 to 5 year time frame, you want to keep giving updates every month or every quarter as to where you are in with regard to your vision statement. And therefore these updates can be motivating or make, and you can obviously add to those statements with clarity of what more needs to be done to achieve the brand vision by that time frame, and which is the fifth mandatory. Obviously it's got to be time bound. So time bound is very important. You got to set the time frame. So let's essentially try and write a simple brand vision statement for the brand we've been using called Ola. And Ola is an orange flavored beverage. So all we're saying, it's an orange flavored beverage. It could be natural, it could be juice, it could be anything. But that's the segment essentially Ola operates in. So brand vision, the one I've thought which is simple and meets a lot of these mandatories could be, for example, so the vision could be to be the number one. When you say you want to be number one, sometimes actually maybe we write it with hashtag one, if that makes things a lot more easily understood and clearer rather than number one. So we could say to be the number one orange flavored beverage brand in Europe, for example, by 2020. So that could be a pretty simple vision statement. And you could again put a little asterisk on number one and say that is number one by in value market share. So you can specify that. Again, let's have a quick check whether what the mandatories we've specified here. So is it simple? Is there any jargon in this? So to be the number one orange flavored beverage brand in Europe by 2020, it's pretty straightforward. There are no fancy words. So let's tick that box. Is it short? It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 words. So we've done well with 13. That's what we've got. That's reasonably good. We have a little asterisk to specify in value market share. You could add that into the vision to be the number one in value market share, but I just think the snappier and cleaner it is, the better in terms of something which a lot of people can buy into. Is it achievable? Again, we don't know because it's obviously something which the brand obviously is thought. So if you're 2% market share and you need to get to 40 in 3 to 5 years, unless you're going to change the category, it may not be achievable, but that's something just to consider. It's got to be measurable. Yes, it's measurable in value market share. So that's your measuring sort of metric. And that's the target orientation there in terms of being number one. Now, obviously, you also need to you're assuming in this vision statement that most of the organization knows what position you are in now. You could be number three with 21% market share, for example. So they're saying, okay, in 4 years or 5 years, you need to be number one. And you can specify what sort of market share that'll possibly look like, but you can also leave it open at number one. It's time bound. Yep, it is time bound by 2020. It is measurable. We've already had a look at that with value market share. Also, we've been quite specific in what segment it is. It's an orange flavored beverage brand. And what is the geographical scope of the vision? We've specified that. It's in Europe. So if you're in one country and you are a one country brand, you might specify that, yeah, it's going to be the biggest in the US or in India or in China or in Australia. So you've covered a lot of those. Now, what a simple brand vision essentially achieves is it achieves good buy-in. So people are able to, different departments within the organization are able to buy into it and say, okay, marketing's framed this and they've put it out there. And so sales should be able to basically, I mean, that's a discussion you have with the various departments or functions within your organization. You can chat with sales and understand what they need to do to make sure that Ola becomes number one. Then you could have a chat with finance and see what support you need to be number one, and they'll all then obviously feel a part of that vision. You could have a chat with supply chain and manufacturing, and obviously manufacturing and innovation and all that side. So they all are very clear. So this motivates not only the marketing team to do this, but all the other functions as well. So that was just a simple example of writing a brand vision. I hope you enjoyed that. I will see you guys later.